We are very excited and grateful to have Fatima Susan Abbasi with us today. Fatima is a Sufi healer and the founder of My Healing Garden and the Sufi Soulmate Project. She has a master's degree in divinity with an emphasis on medical spiritual healing from the University of Sufism. And she has a passion for healing and delights in helping others receive healing, peace, and freedom in every area of their lives. Fatima also holds a master's degree in English literature and a double bachelor's degree in religious study and English from California State University, Bakersfield. She is the former director of Student Healing Clinic at the University of Sufism and the faculty advisor for the Muslim Student Association at Bakersfield College, where she teaches EMLS courses. Fatima is currently completing her MA degree in peacemaking and hopes to become a vessel of love, peace, and mercy for the people around her. Her teaching today is forgiveness as a way of healing. Fatima, welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, Abdullah. And thank you everyone for joining. And thanks to those of you who will be watching this in the future. And I'd like to start with the Fatiha. For those of you who know that, you can recite with me. Of course, you're on mute. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. Inshallah, we begin in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Lord Allah, we thank you for your holy and your healing presence here with us. And I pray that what I share from my heart will resonate with you and it will help you in your own healing journey, whatever kind it is, but if it's a physical healing journey or emotional healing journey, or it will just help you in your walking, inshallah. So as Abdullah said, the title for my teaching today is Forgiveness as a Way of Healing. And in general, I'm passionate about healing. I taught a class before here in this YouTube channel for Sufi Center, Minnesota, and it was about healing. And this one is also about healing. And if I get to teach another class in the future, inshallah, it will be about healing. But this one is mainly about the connection between forgiveness and healing. And what got me interested was I noticed that Prophet Isa, whenever he does healing, often he will tell people that they have been forgiven or their sins have been forgiven. And he has a lot of healing miracles, and the Quran also refers to his healing. And so, for example, there is this one instance that, like in the Bible, in Matthew chapter 9, verse 1 through 8, when he goes and he sees a paralyzed man in the pool of Bethesda, right before he heals him, he tells him, be of good cheer, thy sins have been forgiven thee. Rise, take up your bed and walk. So, and it wasn't only just this time, there are so many times that he just tells people that they have been forgiven, even though they're asking for physical healing, they're looking for physical healing. So that tells me that there is a direct connection between forgiveness and physical healing. And I know that within our own path, there is a huge emphasis on forgiveness as well. I mean, pretty much everything we do tawbah at the beginning to return our heart toward Allah. So I know that this forgiveness is also a very important concept within our own path. And my understanding of tawbah was very shallow at the beginning, because I just thought that we ask for forgiveness whenever we have a big mistake or a major sin. Then yes, we need to ask for forgiveness, and that's, I guess, the most obvious time that we need to ask for forgiveness. And since I grew up living a relatively quiet, submissive life, I was kind of puzzled about why I should constantly ask for forgiveness. And I would still ask for forgiveness and I would still do the tawbah, but it wasn't so meaningful to me as it is now. Because then I realized that forgiveness isn't just for major sins or big mistakes. It's basically whenever we have any independent thought from Allah. Anytime that we have a thought that doesn't include Allah, that is not in alignment with Him. Anytime that we have negative thoughts and we're dwelling on those doubts and unbeliefs. Anytime that our feelings are not in alignment with Allah and we're disappointed, we're unhappy with our life. So did I have any of those things? Yes, I had a lot of those. So I realized that I needed forgiveness, and probably I needed a large dose of it. So I'm sure no matter how holy you are and how perfect you are, we all need forgiveness. And because no matter what, times to times we have those thoughts coming to us, we get disappointed, we get into blaming ourselves, blaming others. So we do need forgiveness. And I got inspired to do experiment on forgiveness and healing when I received this handout from our peacemaking class, and it's actually by Nora Laird, The 7 Steps of Forgiveness. And for that assignment, we were supposed to go through the 7 steps of forgiveness and forgive a person, a friend, a coworker, anyone that we think they have harmed us, and we need to forgive them to let them go. So for this assignment, I did it a little bit differently, and I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly or not, but I chose to do it on myself. And because to me, forgiveness is also about making peace. When we forgive, we are making peace with other people. And I wanted to make peace with myself. And more specifically, I wanted to make peace with my body. And I wanted to make peace with my eyes, because that was what it was bothering me. So that's where this journey of forgiveness and healing began. And so I'm going to go through the steps one at a time. I explain the step, and then I will share my portion, my part of journey of it, and hopefully you get to have my example, and then you could relate it to your own personal life, whether you need to forgive a person or you need a physical healing in your body or any other kind of healing. So hopefully that will help you to be able to better relate to what I'm saying. And let me just make sure that I'm not missing something. I have my notes on the laptop right next to me. Okay. So the first step, there was actually a quotation at the beginning of that handout that really caught my attention. And it says, "Forgiveness is letting go of all hope of a better past." So I say that again. Forgiveness is letting go of all hope of a better past. And that's from the book called Beyond Fear by Aisha and Kokoman Kaladi. And it's a very interesting and very deep statement, because hope is a good thing. We do want to have hope, but we want to have hope for the future, not for the past. The hope for the past keeps us in the past. So if we're hoping for the better past, that means we're just hoping and wishing that things were different, that other people wouldn't have done the things to us, or our situation, our circumstances were different. So we're constantly in the past wishing that things were different. And that's the wrong way of hoping. The hope that we want to have our hope for the future, so we could actually move on and just let go of what didn't happen in the past and move forward. So that was the first statement, I mean, the quotation that caught my attention on that handout. And then there are 7 steps that now I'm going to go through. So the very first step is letting go of investment and attachments. So that's where we have these strong attachments that other people have harmed us or wronged us, or they did something to us that wasn't fair. So in that sense, we see ourselves as victim, as innocent, and other people to be wrong. And in a sense, there is a belief behind that life in general is not fair and it's unjust, and that we're right and they're wrong. So obviously, we're not in love, because we cannot be right and love at the same time. So we're already in separation if we're thinking that we are right and the other person is wrong. So that was the first step, and that will that point of view, that perspective, causes to blame others because we're right and other people are not. So we blame others for being wrong and hurt us. So again, this is when you want to forgive a person. But in my case, I applied it to my eyes. So to me, I look at my eyes and I realize that yes, I was definitely thinking that I was wrong, right, and my eyes were wrong. I saw that I was in complete separation with my eyes because I blamed them for everything. If I couldn't do anything right or completely, if I was struggling to complete something correctly, I would blame them. If they only could see perfectly. If if I was teaching and I wasn't able to teach well the way I wanted it, I would blame them. If I couldn't go somewhere I wanted to go, I would blame them. Basically, my whole success in life was upon them. Like my success and failure in life was upon them. I was giving them so much responsibility. They had the responsibility of my success in life. And through that, I was putting so much pressure on my eyes because they were responsible for my life. I made them responsible for my life. And it was so much that I remember, and I made this connection later on. Once I was in the eye doctor, and they were measuring my eye pressure, and my eye pressure was so high, it was immeasurable. Like they could not measure my eye pressure with the machine that they had. So they had to go find another little smaller tool that they had, and they were managed to get the number manually. And so that's how high of eye pressure I had. And I didn't know that. And when I was going through the steps, I was able to connect those things together, that it wasn't just a spiritual pressure that I was putting on my eyes. It was actually a physical pressure also. My eyes were, they had quite a high eye pressure. And I also saw that I wasn't giving them any love, because obviously they were wrong. They were giving me a hard time, and they were wrong. So I wasn't giving them any love. So and I saw how wrong I was there, because they needed the love the most, but I was choking love and life from them unconsciously. And it wasn't like I was going around and saying, "Oh, I hate you guys." No, it was a very subtle way, and it was very unconsciously. But when I actually sat down and I went through the steps and I meditate on it, then all of these things were revealed to me. Um, so yeah, I just saw how much I was blaming them. I was in separation with them. So what I did at the end of this step, I did a round of Tauba. I did a round of Astaghfirullah Al-Azim. I might have done 2 rounds. I don't remember by now, but I did some remembrance. And another thing that I did, I actually said sorry. I said sorry to my eyes. I asked them to forgive me, and I asked them, yeah, for forgiveness. And yeah, so that was just the first step. And then the second step of forgiveness is letting go of expectation and beliefs. And this is where we all have expectations in life. We want other people to act the way we want them to act. We want them to say the things we want them to say. Basically, we want them to say or think or act the way we do, because that would give us safety and comfort. And if they don't, then that puts us in a very uncomfortable place. And also, the beliefs that we have behind that is, it's also important, because what if we have a belief, then we're expecting based on that belief that we have. For example, if we have a belief that other people are always unfair to us, they do things wrong to us, then that's what we expect. We go around expecting people to be unfair to us. And guess what? That's what we get all the time. So it's our beliefs that shapes our expectation and our outer reality. So it's very important to find out about those beliefs and to be able to purify them in this step. So going back to my journey, I looked within to see what are my expectations and what are my beliefs. I just saw that my expectations were, I just wanted my eyes to function well. I wanted them to do what they were supposed to do. And when they weren't doing that, then I would blame them. I would be disappointed. I would just get mad at them. And my belief was that life is not fair. Life is not just. Everybody else can do it. Everybody else can see, why not me? And it's always going to be unfair. So finding that belief, I took that misunderstanding and I did another round of astaghfirullah, maybe more, on it to purify that belief. And I really took my time with these steps. I think I did 1 step a day because I wanted to really go deep into each step. And I will read the descriptions like few times, and then I will meditate on it, and I go about doing different things, and something will come up to me, and then I'll do the process. Then after that, I would do a reflections. I will write a little paragraph about what I did after I did that step, and I did the dhikr. Then I'll do a little journal after that, and then the next day I will move on to the second step or the next step. So as you plan to do this, I'll really ask you to maybe take your time with them and don't try to go through all of them at once, unless it's a very small thing that you're working on. Okay. So I'm looking for the third step. The third step of forgiveness in healing is healing unmet needs. So in this step, we look to see what are the needs that we have and that weren't met. And it's usually the needs that we have when we were children. And we all have those things, no matter how wonderful of a parents you had. We just have so many needs growing up. We want to be heard and understood. We want to be loved, to be cared for. So many needs that we have. And as we grow, we try to look for, to fill up those holes, those needs that we have by looking at others, by looking from other people or circumstances. And that might be okay to some extent, but it's not going to completely heal those places within our heart that weren't met. We can go to Allah directly to receive those needs, to meet those needs that we had. And then also to heal those wounds that we have, because if we have that wounds within our heart, when helps and support comes from other people around us, we might not recognize it because we still are wounded in our heart. So we've got to make sure that the heart is being healed first. Then there's absolutely nothing wrong about receiving from other people and fulfilling our needs. So back to my journey. I looked within to see what were some of the needs that I had. And, I could share a whole lot, but just a little that to give you an idea is it was basically a need for love. And I feel like because of my eyes, I wasn't lovable. That because I couldn't see nobody would love me, nobody wanted to be with me, and because of that, I wasn't loving my own eyes. Again, because I was blaming them; they were to blame. So, and again, there's so much I can share, but I think that will give you an idea. So, the qualities that came to me that my heart needed was al-wadud, the divine love, al-haq, the truth, and Rahman and Rahim, the compassion and mercifulness and mercy. So I stayed with these qualities for a while. So I recited each one of them, a round or two. And then I really took my time to breathe them in, to receive the light of each quality, and really full to my heart to be full from these qualities. And again, I did a little journal after that, after I completed this step. And then there is the next step, which is dropping pride and arrogance. And in this step, when we want to forgive someone, we have to look within us to see where we had pride and arrogance. And it's hard for us to admit that, because we usually can tell when other people are arrogant, but it's always difficult to look at and to find that within ourselves. So it's basically when we think that we are right and other people's are wrong, that we know better than other people. And if we have that point of view that we are right and other people's are wrong, then when they don't listen to us, that makes us feel hurt and disappointed. And that makes us to want to blame other people even more. And that's why it's so important to go to Allah with our pride and our arrogance in any situation, to first recognize them and then take them to Allah and ask Allah to heal that for us. So in my case, obviously I had pride and arrogance too, because I thought that was right. I thought I knew better, and I thought I knew better than everybody else. In my in the situation that I was in, like for example, I thought I knew better how to behave if I was one of my family member, if I was one of my teachers, in regard to how I was, and then I thought, I knew how to be better and how to function better if I was my eyes. I would just do what I was supposed to do. So I saw that how I was, I had that arrogance in me. And then, so toward the end of that step, I also did Tauba. I did a few round of Astaghfirullah Al-Azim again, and I did my little journal, and just to write down my reflection about that step that I learned. And then the next step, let me just make sure I'm explaining everything. So the fifth step is owning our mirrors. And in the reality of gnosis, CD says, what comes to us is for us and from us and is us, which is that's a very big statement. So what comes to us is for us, from us, and is us. So whenever we found ourselves in a situation, we can see that we're the reflection of one another, that ultimately Allah is our source. And if there is something that is bothering us from other person or from a situation, they're mirroring something within us, and that is something that need to be purified. It helps us to take more responsibility over our lives, over our wounds, over our healing. And rather than saying, oh, we're a victim and not how other people are not acting the way they're supposed to, we take responsibility over our own life, because we want to improve our life. We want to be better and do better. So working with this mirror principle will help us to just do that, to find those places within us that need to be purified. So, and you can do that if you're forgiving a person. But for me, I tuned into my eyes to see what they were mirroring. And what I found was obviously, like, they saw themselves as a victim. They were very sad and lonely. They didn't feel the love. And there were exactly the things that I was feeling. I felt like a victim pretty much my whole life, because I never chose an eye disease. I didn't want it. I didn't sign up for it, but I got it, and I felt like I was a victim. It was something that came to me, and they were exactly the same things that my eyes were feeling, because I guess they didn't choose it either. And so just realizing that, I was able to have so much compassion for my eyes. I just wanted to hold them with so much love and care. And again, just saying sorry to them, because I was doing that unconsciously to them. And then I would also, I think I also did some sort of remembrance at the end of this step too, either astaghfirullah or a divine quality that came in. So I stayed with those qualities, and then I did again a little reflection. I wrote a paragraph after completing this step as well. And then the next step, which would be the sixth step, it would be surrendering to Allah and what He's making. And this is where we turn to Allah, and we notice that everything's coming from Allah. Even the difficult situation, yes, we're in a difficult situation and perhaps we don't like it, but we're here and it is helping us to learn something, grow. It's helping our soul to grow and also to become closer to Allah, and also to be healed. So it's not that we just learn something and we stay where we are, but it's for us to become better, to grow, to be more polished. And for me personally, it really helped me because it changed my focus from the problem to the solution. Because once we do that, once we turn over to Allah and surrender to Him, then we're facing toward Allah. And He is the healer. He is the solution to all the problems that we have. So I wasn't facing my problems anymore. I wasn't facing the things I didn't like, I didn't want to look at. I was facing the solution to all the issues that I had. So that really, it was a big shift for me to actually just surrender to Allah, because He was the source of everything for me. And it was just so liberating for me to surrender to Allah and what He's making for me, because I knew that Allah is so loving and so kind, and that he, when whatever he does is perfect, is based on a plan. It's not that he just do things just because he wants to, or he doesn't have any plan. It's just, okay, let's just do this to see what happens. No, everything that he does is very well organized and is perfect and is out of his love and mercy. And if I knew that, then I could fully trust him with whatever he's making. And so that was a big shift for me to realize that. And again, I did a round or two of Astaghfirullah and did my little paragraph after it. And then the last step would be finding gratitude. And I think after surrendering to Allah, it becomes easy to find gratitude, because then you are already with Allah, and it's easy for you to find gratitude and thankfulness for the situation, or for a person, or for whatever it is that you're working with. So in my case, I thought I was finding gratitude for my eyes. I actually looked within my eyes and I thanked them for everything, for every scene, every color, every shape, everything that they have ever saw for me, ever seen for me. I just thank them for that. And I also just thank Allah for, for everything, for my eyes, for my life the way it was. And I realized that it wasn't just being grateful for something. Uh, it is way more important to be just grateful. And another word, to be unconditionally grateful. We're not supposed to just be grateful for something. We are supposed to be grateful in everything. So whether things are going our way or not, whether we love everything, whether we gain everything, or everything's going our way or not, as Abdul Haq Qadir will say, just we need to practice to be unconditionally grateful. And that's what I learned in this step, to be unconditionally grateful, to love the people, the situations, and everything. Yeah, and mainly Allah, to love Allah all the time. I mean, just separating Allah from other, our outside circumstances, to acknowledge that Allah is always good, and He is good all the time, no matter what happens or not happen. And so that's being unconditionally grateful. So to summarize, all the steps, to start off by first being really willingness to forgive, to go through the steps, because no one can force you to go through this step. It should be something that comes from your heart and you want to do it. And so that would be something that hopefully you get within your heart. And then the steps would be, we first need to let go of our investment and attachment, then our expectation and beliefs. Then we go to healing our unmet needs and dropping our pride and arrogance, and then finding our mirrors, and then surrendering to Allah, and then finding gratitude. And like I said, you could go through each step one day at a time, or you could go through all of them and then you go through them again. So because the things that happen to us, especially if they're deep, you may have to go through this step a couple times or multiple times. So when to stop, when your heart tells you, because then your heart will be complete, and then you could say, okay, yeah, I know that I have completely forgiven this person or this situation, or this organ in my body. Then you could move on to something else. Or you can just stay with one step, and once you feel so complete about one step, then you could move on to the other steps. And then, so that's about the steps. And then there is one more thing I wanted to share, and that was this connection between forgiveness and physical healing. Forgiveness is, as I just went through the steps, as you could see, it's all they were all spiritual things. There wasn't anything physical involved, you know. But physical healing is, you know, when we ask for healing for our body is a physical thing. So my question always have been, how can a spiritual things could affect something physical like our body? And I was really interested in that. And I knew that spiritual, like forgiveness, which is a spiritual thing, could heal our heart and our soul. You know, when we forgive someone fully, we definitely feel lighter in our heart. We feel happier, we feel more joyful, we feel more at peace. So that tells me that it is affecting our heart and it is affecting our soul. But I wasn't completely understanding how it was affecting our body. So I had that question for a long time. And then I think one day Allah answered that question when I was reading say this book, Music of the Soul. And in the 6 stations of the nafs, he started off by saying, let me just bring it here. He started off by saying at the beginning of this the station he he says, you listen with the voice of God and you begin to see the picture of the truth. And if I skip a few lines, it would say, and know that there is no difference between anything, and there is no difference between the body and the soul. And I pause there. Because there is no difference between the body and the soul. And that was my question. To me, there were 2 different things. The body was different than the soul. I was okay with the soul. Yeah, I could receive the healing for the soul, but not for the body. But here, Sidi was saying, in this station, in this state, there is no difference between the body and the soul. So they're one. If you're receiving healing for your soul, you're receiving healing for your body. And I'm still meditating on this. You know, it was something that came to me more recently, and I'm yet to fully understand it. But what's also interesting, you know, this is not the last step. Like, this is not the last station of the heart or the soul. This is only the 6th station of the nafs. Probably I have been in the 1st station of the nafs because I wasn't understanding this. But here's, you know, if we're in this state, Sidi is telling us that there is no difference between the body and the soul. So I shouldn't be worried about another miraculous method of healing for the body, because what can heal the soul can also heal the body. Because once you're in that state, there is no difference between the 2. Alhamdulillah. So I'm gonna pause there to see if there is any questions or comment or anything. That I'm just opening it up for people, and then I would like to pray at the end too for people.
So if you have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself. If you want to raise your hand too, that's fine, and I'll just call on you.
I would just like to thank you, Fatima, for a beautiful teaching and how wonderful to take it into the body and to do that for your eyes. It was so perfect and really very moving. So I'm grateful that you gave us this gift.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. I hope that it will be helpful to all of you.
Thank you, Selena. Dawood, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
First of all, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for such a beautiful teaching. My question is about a statement at the beginning of your delivery about, I really liked giving up hope for a better past. Was beautifully stated. My question is about hope for the future, which you mentioned we should have hope for the future. And I'm always puzzled by this, and maybe you can clarify. If you consider the concept of Qadar, that Allah has our path laid out for us, would you ever consider hope just one of our nafs, that we're wanting something different than what's happening? Would you ever consider hope as, if it is a naf, then hoping is in reality kind of turning from Allah and not accepting what he's putting forth, or we're wanting something different? How would you think about that?
I'm sorry. Can you like repeat the couple last sentences that you had? Some people were messaging me and it's distracting me. Sorry.
I was asking about the concept of hope, and if we hope for things, isn't that just responding to our nafs? Isn't hope just another naf that we have to contend with? If Allah has our situation laid out for us in terms of our destiny, and it's going to be,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I think I got it. I don't think that it's nafsi to have hope. We are supposed to have hope. You know, without hope, there is no faith. Faith is the substance for hope. And, you know, hope is something that comes from our heart and not from our nafs. And especially if it's in alignment with Allah, you know, hope for a better future, hope to get closer to Allah, hope to be able to help others, hope to be healthy, hope to have a good life. Because when we are healthy, when we are in sound mind and heart, then we are able to help others. So hope is something that keeps us moving forward. It's not something bad at all. And now there might be some hopes that, okay, I'm hoping for like to win the lottery, or I'm hoping to, you know, do something like that. So that might be from our nafs, and we might feel frustrated or discouraged by those hopes because they're not in alignment with Allah, because He doesn't He doesn't promise us to win the lottery, but He does promise us other things to get closer to Him, that if we are believers, we never fear nor shall we grieve. So, I mean, there are promises in the Quran that we can hold on to. And I think hope is a good thing. Yeah, when there is no hope, then there's disappointment, there is depression, there is all those things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dawood. Amina, you want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Sure. I'm so glad this was forwarded to me as I have been working on healing from a lifetime of abuse. And I had always thought that it had stopped with me. And so I was very grateful for that. In other words, it was not passed on to others, but I'm really understanding now that it was internalized. So it didn't stop with me. I just became the abuser. And that was oppression and hurt and judgment and wearing the blame and the shame. So this is a very timely lesson. And it was already headed in that direction. But to hear you break it down in steps and to bring in compassion is the piece I had been able to give to the other people who abused me, but not to myself. So thank you for that gift.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Amina. Anybody else has a question? You can either unmute yourself or raise your hand, whichever you would prefer.
I just want to say that these 7 steps, I do want to give the credit to Nora Laird. And if you want to hear a better version of today's teaching, you can listen to her talk. I think she did it last year. She titled it "Getting to Allah Through Forgiveness." So I think that would also be something helpful for you guys to watch, inshallah, if you haven't watched it before.
Could you repeat the title of the talk again, please?
I think it's getting to Allah through forgiveness, right, Abdullah?
I don't have it in front of me
You
right
don't
now,
remember?
but
Yeah, I just saw it yesterday. It was getting to either Allah or God, getting through Allah through forgiveness.
so I'll put something in the chat, but just go to YouTube, Sufi Center Minnesota, type that in, and then Nura Laird, and I'll spell Nura's name in the chat, and it'll come right up.
Is there any other question?
Not right now, Fatima. We don't have anybody queued up at the
Okay.
moment.
Would it be okay if I pray for people?
Please.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I just want to thank Allah for this opportunity to be with you all today. Beloved Allah, I thank you for your holiness, for your love, for your light, for your mercy and your wisdom for all of us. I ask you to shine your light and your healing upon our heart, our mind, our body, and our soul. And we're coming to you with an open heart to receive from you. Teach us how to receive and help us to receive from you everything that you have for us, for our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. Amen. Amen. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Abdullah.
Fatima, there's a question of how people can get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yes, they can email me at contactmyhealinggarden@gmail.com. And I think you have put the link to my website on your email too. So I have 2 websites. If you go to any of them, you can find me, or you could just email me at contactmyhealinggarden@gmail.com.
Getting that in the chat. I think I've got it there. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima, for a beautiful teaching and for being with us today. I'm going to.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
You're very welcome.